Hi, everyone. My name is Opulence Abundance. I am a healing professional, a transformative facilitator, a conflict navigator. And today I'm just going to go live for a quick 10 minutes um, and share a couple things. So I've been going live for about a month now. It's been a great time. I started going live to share the gifts of my EMDR training. It's been so fun to go live regularly. This is my last week of going live because I don't know if you caught the newsletter, but I'm actually going to Japan. So I'm going to pause on the lives. If you are not a newsletter reader, you should be. Hi, Crystalline. So good to see you. Anyways, the newsletter is lovely. Lots of gems, photos, insights. It's a playful energy. So I encourage you to get the newsletter because when I'm in Japan, I'm actually not going to be on social media at all. I'll be sharing about my travels strictly through the newsletter. So normally, when I go live, I read a little something for us, and I have a really special poem for us today. So I'll read us this poem, and then we'll do a little movement, and then we'll just touch on this topic of avoidance. Okay. And let's just take a breath before I start reading. Let's just take a breath. This is Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the geese, the wild geese high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. I love that poem. Oh, hi, Vanna. I really love that poem by Mary Oliver. I think it speaks to the nature of accountability and how if we really embrace accountability and not punishment, we're not asking, it's not an ask for self sacrifice, but an encouragement to embrace the soft animal of our bodies. Anyways, for the somatic practice today, I just want to introduce this really gentle movement where you just rub your hands slowly back and forth. And you just really feel that tactile sensation. I love that you love Mary Oliver too. You are such a talented poet, Bama. And yes, I love what you're saying about how she encourages us to see embodiment in the web of life. Honestly, Mary Oliver helps me build trust towards whiteness. Kind of a wild thing to say. But yeah, just I love this movement because it's so slow and tactile. And then the other part of this movement is bringing the hands to the face, sweeping them along the forehead back and forth, and then bringing the hands down to the cheeks, sweeping them forward and back along the cheekbone. This is just really great vagal nerve stimulation So we have this nerve that runs through our body. And if we can tone and stimulate this nerve, kind of the way we like maybe like might tone or stimulate our abs, we can experience more capacity to be to endure activating events without becoming like fully activated. And I'm learning more and more that when we can push up against discomfort without activating, that is like a magical space, and developing, widening that window. They call it the window of tolerance. We want to strengthen that window of tolerance. And that relates to what I want to just touch on today in this very quick live. Mm. Oh, that stretch feels good. Which is that sometimes we can create busyness in our lives. We can subconsciously create lives of crisis. Oh, I'm glad you did it, Fanon, that you enjoyed it and that it was helpful. I'm so relieved. Honestly, I'm like just out here doing things. And actually, sometimes when I'm in sessions and I'm talking to people and we're talking about something that's very activating, we'll do this movement of the hands while we talk. So maybe I'll challenge myself to do that while I talk. What I also enjoy about that is please share with your students. The other one that maybe you could share with your students. So, one, I love to rub the hands while I talk, and then you have very warm hands that you can place on the eyes or the ears. There's this other movement I find really, really grounding. Um, it's called the cha cha cha, but I think that's a little appropriative. So, basically, you'll put your hand over your heart and you'll hit your hand. So, you'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then you put your hands over your shoulders and you again go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then you move your hands to your low back and you do it 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then you bring your hands forward to like the side of your legs and you again just do a little thump 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And what that does, I find it extremely grounding. You can also do the bottom, the soles of your feet, but you don't have to. And what that does is it just is connecting the neural pathways of our nervous system all over our body to like our brain. Yeah, I find it to be such a grounding movement. I love it so much. But I just wanted to name, and I'm going to rub my hands as I talk about this because just to practice that presence. But sometimes in times of crisis, or if we're going through so much grief, it's difficult to wrap our heads around. Our body wants to avoid the pain, our mind, our psyche will avoid what we can't handle. And it's not something to pathologize, it's just part of life. And so some of us, I'm kind of getting a little bit of Eric Badu bag lady vibes where it's like, some of us are like walking around with some baggage, right? Some compartments of grief that we maybe need ceremony or support to open. And I want to speak to the healing power of intentional ceremony. I've had lots of friends who plan ceremonies for themselves, plan healing ceremony, where they bring together loved ones and we sit in circle and we witness them intimately as they cry, express, maybe we dance together. But that is one way that we can really call in support and transform emotion. As someone who is bringing my own healing ceremony into fruition, one of the lessons I learned early on is that it's so easy to try and do everything ourselves. But it's important when we plan something like healing ceremony, we go in with that intention of wanting to heal and release some of what we're carrying, that we don't do it alone, that we let other people help us and maybe even plan completely for us. Um, the other thing I want to hit on in this live is just that, like, avoiding grief is natural. Avoiding grief is a part of how our mind, body, spirits cope with grief. and how when we are feeling deep grief, we might create crisis to avoid healing, or we might create a really packed schedule. And that's okay. It's not to pathologize the behavior. But if we can create even 30 seconds to be present with our emotions, that can be extremely powerful. And I'm actually going to just hold the space here. I'm just going to invite you to, let's not even think of it in terms of times, but if we can just take 10 breaths, and in those breaths, just practice being present with whatever we're feeling in our body without attachment, without judgment, without creating a story or attaching meaning to it, but just allowing the feeling to move up through our body and then noticing how it changes. Welcome, Evolve. You're coming just in time. We're just going to do 10 intentional breaths. So, yeah, let's breathe at our own pace. And before we get started breathing, I just want to name I love to breathe. I love to count 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale. So in my head, I'm really just counting to 20 with intention, with breath. Wow. That was I that was a beautiful experience for me. I'm interested in knowing how it was for you. On my end, I just noticed like, yeah, I have some anxiety floating around. I'm a little tired, I'm a little distracted. But I also just felt the intention and actually just focusing on my breath. It didn't necessarily bring me closer to any feeling, but I felt the swell of momentum and energy in the intention of the breath. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoy. And yeah, let me know if you watch the replay. Okay, bye everyone. Thanks for joining.